Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. It's Amy Caroline. It's Amy Caroline again. Welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new video. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. So, it for those of you who watched my ghost train videos already, thank you for watching them. Thank you for watching them. Um, um, uh, those of you, for those of you who work for the Travel Channel, those of you who work for the Travel Channel, if you live in Denver, Colorado, if you live in Nashville, Tennessee, if you live in Memphis, Tennessee, if you live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, too, if you live in Arkansas, if you live in North Carolina, if you live in South Carolina, and if you live in Louisiana, and if you live in California, if you live in Texas, and if you live in Arizona, if you live in Utah, then please watch my ghost train videos that I made the other day and last week and stuff like that and everything. And hopefully, excuse me, and hopefully you guys can put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel for me, okay? And also for everybody else, for everybody else and anyone else that wants to see it too, okay? All right. Anyway, it is time for the next episode and it is time for the next story that I'm gonna read for y'all. And I gotta find it. And I believe it is. Oh. And I believe it is right here. I believe it's right here. Okay. This one is called A Ghostly Race. A ghostly race. Okay. And hopefully this will be on the Travel Channel just like Haunted Hotels was, and hopefully you guys can put it on there for everybody, including myself, because I want to see it too. And after I read the story, and I'm gonna show you guys, and ta-da, I'm gonna show you guys another example from the TV show Haunted Travels, and you'll see the stories going back in time, you'll see the people going back in time, and you'll see the apparitions of the spirits, okay? So, this one is called A Ghostly Race, okay? All right? So here we go. During the late years of the 19th century, a Sussex brave and his black Mustang would often race trains rushing across the western prairies. Travelers who saw the brave always reported the same thing. The Indian wearing leopard spot war paint would be seen waiting for the train on an open stretch of prairie. As the train passed him, the Indian would wheel his horse and gallop at full speed after it. It was a race that couldn't be won by flesh and blood. The Mustang um, wouldn't tire, but slowly, surely the train would pull away from the Indian, and his horse finally leaving them far behind. Was the brave protesting the Iron Horse's invasion of his land? Or was he simply testing his prowess? No one knows. And no one knows how or when the Braves races ended. Did they end crushed under the wheels of a train? So over 50 years later, a drummer was riding a night train from Minneapolis to Butte on the Northern Pacific. He occupied a lower berth. In an old-fashioned sleeper. The drummer woke with an uneasy feeling. He lay awake for a minute, trying to decide what roused him. Then thought to open his window shade. Outside, a lone rider was visible in the darkness. With a sudden shock, the drummer realized the rider was gaining on the train. Even though it was highballing at speed across the flat prairie, as the rider drew up to the sleeper window, the drummer strained his eyes, trying to see what the horseman looked like. The rider was an Indian daubed with war paint and mounted on a black Mustang. As the drummer watched in disbelief, the Indian and rider passed his car as if they were outrunning the train. Impossible. This couldn't be a real horse. And this couldn't be a real horse and rider. The same man saw the apparition many other times on the Wyoming or Dakota prairies. He always saw the ghostly horse and rider at night after waking with an uneasy feeling. So, was the Sioux brave returning to test his supernatural powers against the earthly train? So, okay, so about this story, nobody knows, no one knows, and no one knows how or when the Braves races ended. Did they, what was it that they got, they got crushed under the wheels of a train, or maybe it was, maybe it was, but I don't know. Nobody knows, okay? Nobody knows what happened to the horseman, okay? Nobody knows what happened to the horseman, okay? So, nobody knows what happened to the horseman, okay? Nobody knows, okay? All right? Was he crushed under the wheels of his train, or what was he crushed under the wheels of a train, or as the train passed him, the Indian would feel his horse and gallop at full speed. So the horse has to gallop at full speed. After it was a race that couldn't be won by flesh and blood. The Mustang wouldn't tire, but slowly, surely, the train would pull away from the Indian, and his horse, finally leaving them far behind. So, what was the brave protesting the Iron Horse's invasion of his land, or was he simply testing his prowess? And like it said, nobody knows. No one knows. No one knows what he was doing. So anyway, and this occurred back in the 19th century. This occurred back in the 19th century, and this was a ghostly race, okay, all right, and so when the drummer guy went, and then over 50 years later, a drummer was riding a night train from Minneapolis to Butte on the Northern Pacific Railroad. He occupied a lower berth in an old-fashioned sleeper. The drummer woke with an uneasy feeling. He lay awake for a minute trying to decide what roused him, then thought to open his window shed. Outside was, oh. So I think he saw the apparition of the ghostly rider, I think he saw the apparition of the ghostly rider and the ghostly race too, okay? I think he saw the apparition of the ghostly race, okay? So that's what has to happen in Ghost Train, the ghostly race. That's what has to happen in Ghost Train, the ghostly race, and also the story has to go back in time. Too, and the apparitions and the ghosts and the spirits have to appear. So for ghostly race, it all has to be like this in Ghost Train, and it has to appear on it has to appear on the show, okay, all right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Now, as it is, I'm gonna show you guys an example from the TV show Haunted Travels, and I am going to show you guys what Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel, okay, all right. So here it is.
Cloudcroft, New Mexico is the kind of small town that immediately conjures up images of a time when the West was a bit more wild. But today, about 700 people live in Cloudcroft, where the pace is relaxed and locals greet you with a smile instead of a six-shooter.
People look out for one another, the businesses support each other, and it's just a great little community. It's a wonderful place to raise children and to vacation and relax. Relaxing is the big thing in Cloudcroft.
But it seems Cloudcroft's rough and tumble past still lingers. And there's one place in town where the past meets the present just about every night.
Welcome to the Lodge Resort and Spa in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. The Lodge is a full-service resort. A lot of people just come up here to rest and relax. We have an outdoor heated swimming pool, we have a sauna, we have an exercise room, we have a day spa that we offer massages and treatments and pedicures, manicures, things of that sort.
The Lodge also boasts an 18-hole golf course and a fine dining establishment.
Rebecca's is our fine dining restaurant, and most of our guests that lodge here, as well as people in the local area, about 2-hour drive market, they'll drive up just to have dinner at Rebecca's.
The restaurant gets its name from a longtime resident of the Lodge, who, on special occasions, has been known to make appearances out of thin air.
I had sweaty palms, my heart was just racing, and I know that when I went to see the staff downstairs, I just had this frightened look on my face.
I froze and my knees went weak, my legs went to jello, and I couldn't move and I couldn't speak, and the tips of my fingers were just shaking.
I knew it was Rebecca. I felt her presence in this area, and I knew it was her immediately.
The legend of Rebecca dates back to 1911, when the Lodge at Cloudcroft was built. It became a destination spot for local loggers and socialites looking to escape the hot New Mexico heat. But the hotel's claim to fame was its housekeepers.
Rebecca was a housekeeper here at the Lodge, and she took care of the rooms and the common areas, but she took care of a little more than that. She was what you might call a full-service housekeeper. We also understand that she had evening duties, and she took care of some of the locals and visitors in the area.
Rebecca's promiscuous ways made her very popular among guests at the Lodge. But Rebecca's extracurricular activities didn't go over so well with her lumberjack boyfriend.
She really loved men, and she had a lumberjack boyfriend, and he worked out of town a lot. He wasn't here very often, and she entertained our guests, I could say. And one night, her boyfriend came back early from a logging trip.
He asked where she was. And when he found out, he flew into a fit of jealous rage. Legend says he cut off Rebecca's head and chopped up the rest of her body, burying the remains somewhere on the property of the Lodge, and leaving behind a feisty red-headed spirit with no plans on leaving her favorite haunt.
I was checking a function in this dining room behind us, and doing a quick count on tables and chairs. And maybe 25 seconds in the room, I stepped out of the room, and all 3 chandeliers on the mezzanine overlooking the lobby were swinging back and forth.
Making believers out of hotel staff and guests seems to be a top priority for Rebecca's ghost. Those skeptical of her existence are often her favorite targets.
I was training a new employee, and we came over here to the coffee machine. We started brewing coffee. We went over here to the computer, and I was training her on the computer. And she asked me about the ghost. I was a skeptic back then, and I shared that with her, and I said, but it's part of your job to know this. It's a bunch of bull, but you really need to share the story. At that time, now this is 15 feet away from the computer to the coffee maker. The basket with the grounds of coffee came flying at me all the way over here, hit me in the leg, hot water and hot coffee grounds exploded all over me.
Before the 2 women could even speak, the doors to the room flew open, and a great rush of energy swarmed into the room, paralyzing them both with fear.
Needless to say, that girl never came back the next day. I braved it out and came back, but it was quite terrifying.
Rebecca had made her point, and once again had made believers out of the doubtful.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. So did you see of how the stories went back in time, and did you see of how the stories went back in time, and did you see the people and the spirits appearing on the screen and stuff like that? Well, that is what, and as it is, that is what has to happen in Ghost Train, okay? That is what has to happen in Ghost Train, okay? All right? So a ghostly race has to do the same thing. And like I read in the story, and like I read in the story, the writer has to the horse rider has to appear, and over 50 years later, and over 50 years later, a drummer was riding a night train from Minneapolis to Butte on the old Northern Pacific. Anyway, everything that I read here and everything that I read right there, that is what has to happen in Ghost Train, okay? A ghostly race, okay? All right? So, put that on there, and yeah, okay? All right? So, anyway, I'll be back later on this evening for more Ghost Train stories for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. I'll be back for more Ghost Train stories tonight. Tonight I'll be back for some more Ghost Train stories. And I'll be back for some more Ghost Train stories, and please watch this video, and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell, and I will see you guys later for some more haunted stuff and more haunted travels and more ghost stories, okay? Okay, bye everybody. Bye.